Welcome back to the Bottom Line Garage. It's a cold and windy day in Adelaide, but in today's episode we can see if we can get to the bottom end of this engine, flip it upside down. But first I need to take off all of the remaining parts. I'd like to see if I can get into the oil filter. The first mechanic said he found some brass shavings in the oil. The second step would be to separate the sump. I think there's still some oil in there, and in the previous episode I dumped a bunch of oil on my paving, and it took some effort to get it off with cement. So I want to avoid that. We're going to put some sheeting down, and then I'm going to ask my lovely wife to come help me flip this engine upside down. In the outro, I'll also give feedback on some of the parts that were advertised and sold on Facebook Marketplace locally in Adelaide, and then also give some feedback on where we are with Dumbo. Let's get stuck into it. In the last bit of the hyperlapse, you would have seen me struggle a bit with the bracket. Can't get the bracket off if this pipe is in, and you can't get this bracket off if the bracket underneath is still here. So it would be interesting to see or understand how you would replace the high pressure fuel pump with all of the stuff in the way. Just remember, this would be head, intake manifold. There would be very little space here to work in. There's a video on YouTube which I'll see if I can find to link how you take this bit off, but essentially you have to clip these two blue tabs in, but there's just no space to do it, to take this off. Let me see if I can figure out a way to take this off without breaking it. I'm going to try and take off this pipe and then remove this individually. Which will then give me space to take this bracket off around the pipe. Okay, with a bit of fiddling and wiggling, you can take this bracket off. Just press those two clips in and that bit comes off. I've taken off as much as I can on this side of the engine. Let's open up the oil filter and see what we can find. These engines have got a funny oil pump, some diaphragm. You've got literally 10 minutes to do an oil change, otherwise it loses pressure. You can't manually get this thing to go again. It's a weird setup. I've not done an oil change myself just because of that 10-minute rule. I might just fuck it up. Unless the previous mechanic had some extra eyes, I can't see any shavings whatsoever. Metal, brass, or otherwise. I thought this thing would be littered with metal shavings. I am truly beginning to wonder what went wrong with this engine, because it literally had a bearing tick or bearing knock at idle, and it got worse the higher the revs went. So it smells like well. I'm not going to taste it. There's some minor shavings here. It's definitely some metal. Okay, I take back my words. I was just expecting some bigger metal shavings. We'll cut this one open later and see what it looks like inside. Time to see if I can get the sprocket of the high fuel pressure pump. I don't want to damage the pump. I still want to see if I can sell it on Facebook Marketplace. Time to do some sketchy shit. If I remember correctly, this is a lefty tighty, righty loosey configuration. Because dumbass here decided to throw away the timing chain, I've got no leverage whatsoever. So I'm just going to hold on to this thing with my hand. See how that goes. Time to do some sketchy shit. Do-da, do-da. Hope I get away with it. Do-da, do-da day. Oh, by the way, this is a weird size 18. I can't remember when last I used the size 18 socket. That didn't take any effort whatsoever. Let me see if I can get the sprocket off and then take the fuel pump out. I've had a bit of a challenge getting that sprocket off the high compression fuel injector pump. It needs a bit of motivation. So there's my tools that I considered. Rubber mallet wouldn't make a difference. A bit of violence, and last resort would have been a grinder, but I really want to keep that pump intact. So logic prevailed. Did a quick run to Super Cheap Auto to get me a 3-jaw gear puller. Might not be the perfect tool to get the job done. You will not be able to get those jaws around and through the smaller hole in the timing chain cover. So for this purpose, I don't like spending money on tools that I rarely use, but in this instance, I am certainly going to use this tool going forward with some of my other projects. So let's get cracking and get this thing off. And incidentally, the manual says do not use agadagas. So I will refrain from using agadagas. Well, there we go. It's off. I didn't expect it to end up in my hand that way. Fuck. At least I didn't break it. As you can see, I made the necessary precautions not to spill oil here and not to spill oil there. And what do? I fucking spill it right in between. I made a right mess here. You'll recall at the beginning of the video I said we'll put some plastics down so I didn't spill oil on my cement floor. Yet here we are. Anyway, while that is leaking out, just wanted to show that there's another bolt down there. Let me show it there. There's another bolt down there that holds onto this. I thought these bolts would be enough. Luckily, I was using just a rubber mallet to tap it loose. I wasn't putting any major force on it. I could see it was sort of just tilting on the one, and then I realized this bolt also needed to come out. So it's just that continue leaking on the floor and making a mess. I've got some cement that I'll be able to clean that up afterwards. So it's a week later. Today's a nice sunny day in Adelaide. As you can see, we've flipped this engine upside down. Tried to take the sump off. I don't want to dump a bunch of oil on my cement, but I've put in all of the tarps and plastic covers. I can't get this engine off from the sump. It's just too heavy. So thank you to my wife that helped me flip the engine around, and then I could calmly work around getting the silicone off that was holding down the sump. I had a putty knife. It's lightly sharpened, so it doesn't have any rough edges, and I just lightly tapped it on the side to get the sump off. So without further ado, let's just get Mr. Spanner out of the way. Let's open up the sump and see what we can see. So the intention for today is to get through this cradle. I think I have to take the oil pump off to get through the cradle. I've got no idea how to get the chain off the sprocket. Let me loosen a couple of bolts and take it from there. So I've removed a couple of bolts here. There's another bolt holding off on the oil pickup. If you remove the oil pump chain tensioner, I'm assuming that's what you call it, there's enough flex in the chain that if you tilt this just a tiny bit, you can take the chain off without breaking anything. It's some membrane mechanism here inside. If it loses oil, when you do an oil change and you take too long, it loses compression, and there's a trick. I think they load the engine with like 12 or 15 liters of oil. So the weight of the oil primes it again. And the next step is to take these bolts out. When you take the cradle off, it sits quite thick below the engine. I want to get to the cranks, take some caps off. On one of the Facebook groups that I follow, one of the members asked whether you can take the cradle off with the engine still inside the engine bay. And some of the comments made where you have to at least remove the gearbox. There are some bolts here that goes through the gearbox. There's a plate that sits here that you need to take off. So if you wanted to remove this cradle, you have to remove the gearbox. And initially when the engine blew, I thought I'm going to work under the engine, and if it's just a bearing, I'll just take this cradle off. And I would have never been able to take this cradle off without removing the gearbox. I don't know with how much effort you have to bash this off. So I'm going to take my rubber mallet, give it a light tappy tap and see if it moves. Something is moving. There we go. Just going to put this to the side. Finally, a couple of episodes, sweating, blood, sweat and tears, and a bunch of oil. The sump is off. I see immediately I'm going to run into some problems. I won't be able to take the caps off. I don't have sockets that fit over this. I'll have to check and maybe run to Super Cheap Auto and buy some sockets. For the crank caps and bearings, I'm just going to loosen them, take a quick peek. They are unique to their position. They are machined to fit in that position. I'll loosely fit them back. With the cap bolts loose, I just wiggle them out lightly, no tremendous force. As I'm turning them around, that's the bearing. I don't want to mess with this too much. The bearing is clean. There's clean surface on the crank. I'm just going to keep on, just lift them up, have a quick look, and place them back with the arrows facing towards the sprocket. Somebody told me that if you find brass shavings in your oil, it's the crank ends. I can't see any brass bearings on this side unless there's some other bearings which I'm not aware of. But certainly on the crank bearings and the caps, I don't see any issues. It's certainly not crank bearings. A bit of research with AI Gemini tells me that these are E-Torques. It's a specific shape, 6-star spline. Quick trip to Bunnings, a size 12 fits perfectly. Piston 2. Let's get the begin cap off and see what we can see. No scoring, no marks, no grooves. I'm going to put the cap back on and lightly tighten this again. Very, very disappointing. I can't see anything. This bearing is in perfect condition. So the slapping noise should be from scoring on the cylinder head. I'm very tempted to take out piston 3. There we go. Finally found the culprit. I'm not 100% sure what failed here, but you can see some clear scoring marks on the side of the piston. This is what the piston should look like. I turn this one around. See, there's some scoring marks going up and down the piston. I think we're going to conclude this video here. We found the culprit, piston 3, no longer allegedly shit the bed. It definitely shit the bed. I don't think anybody's going to be interested in buying the block. They will most probably have to spend an enormous amount of engineering to re-hone the cylinder, buy new pistons. Then you have to oversize all of them, get them the same. They're going to have to spend a ton of money on this engine. I don't think this engine is worth any part is worth any money except for scrap. I'm going to disassemble all of the parts here. I still need to get this on the back of the ute, and it's still fucking heavy. We're going to just sell this as scrap. None of this is going to be put back together. I think it was the right decision to replace the engine. It was quite an interesting journey taking this engine apart, learned a couple of things, learned some new things. I do wanted to give some feedback. There were some comments in the previous video of what happened to that circlip. It was lost and found, and it's safely replaced on the head that was sold to Paul. So thank you to Paul for popping by. He did say that there's some scoring on the inside of the cylinder for number 3. It is clear from the condition of the piston that it was deteriorating at the rate of knots. There's some scoring marks on the rings itself. Something was clearly not happy inside the engine. Just to conclude on the Ford Ranger, we did trade it in for a Suzuki Jimny GLX, the little 2-door version for my daughter. The replacement of the engine was fully disclosed with all of the invoices provided, so no shady deals were done. Thank you for watching this video. If you like the content, please like and subscribe. There are some future projects with the Mitsubishi Triton. So it's time to say goodbye to Mr. Spanner. He's been a very quiet and unhelpful mascot in this journey. We'll put him back with his little Mustang on the Lego. It's still fucking lying around doing nothing. Until next time in the new episode, goodbye for now. Fuck's sakes. Dumb ass day. In the next episode, I still want to. The fuck het jy nou daar aangekom? Fuck her. And I'm just talking shit. I don't know how to close this video.